What's going on, everyone? So a player that the Lakers are interested in is Malcolm Brogdon. And Malcolm Brogdon would make a ton of sense for the Los Angeles Lakers, right? Sizable, versatile, two-way guard, 40% three-point shooter for his career. I think he's like 39% now because he shot so poorly last year. But before last year, he was a career 40% three-point shooter. But point is, excellent three-point shooter, point of attack guard, size, everything. And honestly, the one knock with Malcolm Brogdon is just his health. Like, you don't know if he's going to give you 20 games, if he's going to give you 40 games, or, if you're lucky, maybe 60, right? Like, it's just, that's the big knock on him. But he is kind of the ideal just slot-in guy alongside a guy like a Luka Doncic that, can play off ball, be an initiator, but really be that just point of attack, defensive, two-way guard. Even the kind of guy that's usually the type of guard that's had success over the years with like a LeBron James. Think like Mario Chalmers, Norris Cole, right? Avery Bradley, George Hill, like these guys that initiate the offense, get it to the guy that's going to have the ball, and then beyond, right? Well, Lakers could easily just sign Malcolm Brogdon. Right, they could just bring in Malcolm Brogdon, sign him to a vet minimum. They got to do a consolidation trade. But if that happens, maybe part of the biannual exception, or maybe use the full biannual exception, whatever. If they miss out on a DeAnthony Melton or something like that, right? Lakers have options. But Washington is open for sign and trades, right? They're trying to get assets and whatever else and whatnot, right? A Lakers sign and trade for Malcolm Brogdon might actually make more sense for the Lakers than just signing Malcolm Brogdon outright. Now, you might think, Tyler, why would that make more sense? You're signing a guy to a vet minimum. Well, you're not going to give him more money, right? Especially if you can sign him a vet minimum. No, you could still sign and trade for him for, $3 million or whatever. But the idea is Lakers need to do a consolidation trade. They need to do this kind of compact, kind of turn and clear cap space and open a roster spot and do all this other stuff, right? Well, now you could just do a swap, or, you could just do hey, here, take Gabe Vincent in 3 seconds or 3 pick swaps. The Lakers don't have, they have 1 second, but 3 pick swaps or whatever, and maybe Washington would do it. Or you could do something like, hey, we'll sign and trade, so that way you're getting something of value, right? Sign and trade, you take a Gabe Vincent and a, whatever else, right? Maybe you're doing a multiple trade. Maybe you're adding in a Marcus Smart, right? There's talks about them potentially buying out Marcus Smart. There's talks about them potentially buying out a Chris Middleton. Maybe you're working out some type of deal where it's like you're signing and trading for Malcolm Brogdon, adding in a Marcus Smart. Maybe you have a spit in a handshake on a Chris Middleton buyout, and you're doing like a 3-for-2 player swap and clearing, $6 million off your books, and now you have enough to free up your full biannual with a little extra top, right? Like, Washington is a team that they're clearly open for business. They just made another trade, with Kelly Olynyk. I look at Washington as a team that you could really kind of use to solve a lot of your needs. They're open for business. They have young cores, they have veteran guys. They're going to have to buy out and waive some guys. Them going and landing Cam Whitmore, right, means that they want to kind of open the door for some of these other players, so on and so forth, right? Like, Lakers, they need to kind of find those types of moves. They need to find that type of trade. I don't want to say the Lakers just do a consolidation trade, just do a consolidation trade. You don't want to just oh, here's Gabe Vincent and some assets, thanks for taking them on. You want to do it in the thick of getting something of need, right? If you can get a Malcolm Brogdon, and now you don't have to use any of your exception money or anything like that, right? You're clearing money off. You're kind of swapping roster spots. So he's not taking up that roster spot, so you can go bring another guy. Because somebody might ask, why would you sign and trade for Malcolm Brogdon? Well, a couple of things. One is, so that way you're bringing him in place of a player while still unloading a player, right? And then so you free up the roster spot, and he's not just coming in taking up that roster spot, right? He's coming in taking, replacing a guy. Like, say you send out Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber, right? Now you get him coming in, he's basically the Gabe Vincent replacement, and now you open up the roster spot for Maxi Kleba, right? Things like that is kind of where I'm getting at, where like you can turn multiple guys, make multiple moves, clear salary space, whatever, right? There's, a proposed trade of like, oh, hey, what about, you trade for Marcus Smart, clear some salary off the books. You'd have to trade 2 guys to go get him anyway, essentially Gabe Vincent and a Maxi Kleba. Throw in your, some cash considerations in the 2032 picks, second round pick, and then, end up with Marcus Smart. It's the same idea, same concept, right? So what I'm getting at is like I look at the Wizards as a potential place that we're familiar with, we've made trades with in the past, so on and so forth. Where it's like, okay, you have this partner that they just want to accumulate as many second round picks, first round picks, whatever else that they can get. Right? They just want assets. They're willing to work with guys. You make that it'd be easier for them to maybe get off of a Gabe Vincent and a Maxi Kleba and get something in return than a Marcus Smart. Why? Because both guys are 11 million as opposed to 20 million. Right? So they make the trade with the Lakers for like a Marcus Smart. It's like, okay, great. Lakers land Marcus Smart. They also free up the cap space needed to go, sign a guy or two. Oh, and they also opened up a roster spot, right? Again, you could do a trade where you adding in a Malcolm Brogdon in that and still doing the same thing, sign and trade Malcolm Brogdon. Boom. Now you got 2 guys to kind of fill in for 3 guys, and you're making this trade, right? And that opens up stuff for the Lakers. You clear cap space, do all the stuff you need, and now you can go and bring in, Nikola Vucevic if he gets bought out, or Bradley Beal if he gets bought out. And it's like, wow, Lakers just got Malcolm Brogdon, Bradley Beal, Nikola Vucevic and Marcus Smart all in one, essential swoop, right? Like those are the kind of things. Be creative, be expansive. I just, again, it's finding those teams that are willing to work with you. And Washington is one of those teams that I do believe is willing to work with you. Right? They're a team that has players of need. And then, like I said, for them, it makes sense for them because it's like, okay, we're going to get, whatever, cash considerations in a second round pick in exchange for Marcus Smart. Yeah, we're taking on some money. We got a ton of money anyway. Taking on some money. Yeah, we're going to have to probably buy out a guy or two, but we have plenty of time to figure that out, right? Oh, and by the way, we can turn, is there a veteran team that would take Gabe Vincent, and throw in a second, right? Or maybe you take Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleba and maybe you find a team that's like, hey, we have a $20 million guy we'd love to get off of. We'll give you a first to take him. Sure. There you go. Thanks for the first, right? Now you got a first round pick. You sent out a veteran guy. Boom, you're still in business. Right? You still have, cap flexibility going forward. You still have all those things, right? It gives them more options and more flexibility. It's easier for teams to go and trade for an $11 million guy than it is to go trade for a $20 million guy, right? So a Maxi Kleba and a Gabe Vincent, they'd be able to go maybe make a move for, do something like that. So again, it's just, I look at Washington as an organization that could solve a lot of the Lakers' problems right now. And they're in the business for doing that right now, right? They're already doing that and making those moves for other teams and doing other things and whatnot. Like they've waved a flag, like, hey, just to let you know, we're this team that's willing to do X, Y, and Z. So Lakers should take advantage of that and make that happen. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.